Hello and welcome, I'm SimUK and this is my Radio General review. The game was published and developed by the Canadian development team Foolish Mortals, and it's similar, possibly similar, to the game Radio Commander, which was set in the Vietnam War and released sometime last year, although the two games are completely unassociated. The game will release on the 9th of April 2020, and any footage that you see from me may contain some bugs whilst it's still in development before release. I don't have a price for this game, but I would guesstimate somewhere between £15 and £20.
HQ here, right away, sir. Starting operation. Eagle 1 here. We're over the drop zone and are beginning the drop. It'll take a while for the paratroopers to regroup and report to you.
Radio General, then, is a highly simulated detached RTS. And by detached, I mean, depending on your difficulty settings within the game, you can't actually see either your or your enemy units in real time. All information is passed to you via radio communications with your units on the ground based on what they can see. That is as long as their radio is working and they're not completely lost. And then you need to move your unit icons on the map in order to keep track of both their positions and their enemy positions and movement. Communication can be via clicking on the map and issuing commands, or by using your voice. Obviously, using your voice is more immersive. Dog, head north. Different unit types have different unit abilities. Engineers can detect, remove and lay minefields. Snipers are long-range attack units. Scouts have greater view distance but will retreat from all encounters. And then you've got your basic grunts who just dig in and fight. There are other units, anti-tank, artillery, tanks and naval units. At the start of most missions, you will get to select which units you want to take with you. But units are persistent. So if a unit gets wiped out in Mission 1, that's it, they are gone for good. Equally, units need to recover after a mission and also to recoup their losses. If you take too many losses, then you will be writing to their mothers. Performing well in a mission, however, earns you reward points. These can be awarded to units, increasing their abilities. Having an understanding of each unit's capabilities is key to winning the battle. If you do exceptionally well, you might also get a medal, which you can reward to whomever you choose. There are 4 campaigns in total, each of which consists of between 2 and 6 individual missions. They stretch across the entire World War II European theatre from 1942 to 1944. I played the entire game on medium difficulty, which affords me some helpful perks, like moving my units to their reported location after they've got themselves unlost. There is a harder setting where nothing is done for you at all, and there are also numerous settings within the options which can make the game either easier or more realistic for you. Each mission has a set start. Enemies will be located at or emerge from a predefined area. This means that replayability is a little bit hampered in that sense, but as soon as the battle starts, literally anything could happen. On medium setting, the game is tough, though not always because of the AI intelligence. I'll discuss that a bit more later. The very first campaign doubles as a tutorial, and it does enough to teach you the basics, but there is a lot that it doesn't discuss, and you'll have to figure most of that out as you go. There is an encyclopedia reference book, and you can pause and read that at any time. The single-player campaign lasts anywhere between 10 and 15 hours, depending on your difficulty and capability, and there's a co-op gameplay mode also, which I really like. If you want to watch a co-op gameplay video, then I joined up with Jimmy Daly, and yeah, that's on both of our channels right now if you want to go take a look at that. Good morning, Jimster.
He's alive.
He's alive!
It's alive. Was I too hot?
No, it wasn't you, it was the game. The game's hot.
Game's hot. Man's not hot. Game's hot.
There's also a map editor allowing unlimited new experiences to be enjoyed. The entire game is set within a tent, overlooking a map which is strewn across a desk. There are lots of interactive items around you, lights, clipboards with relevant information on, map tools, even a pipe and a glass of brandy, which clears things up rather nicely. The maps are basically ordnance survey style maps with high and low ground contours. Elevated locations are of strategic importance and boost your visibility, defense and attack. Towns are single points on the map and can be referenced by using location 1 to 8. Certain terrains are harder to cross and as such, slow your units down if you choose to take that route.
That location is out of range. We'll need to reposition.
I played this game in early access, it's not the full release, and during that time I have experienced one full crash, a few bugs here and there and issues, but there have been a lot of patches and updates released which have fixed a lot of the problems. Hopefully by the time of release, which is about almost a week away from now, a lot more of these issues will have been found and resolved. The in-game audio is pretty authentic and quite immersive. Explosions look as good as they sound, and unit feedback is also on point and quite relevant. The machine gun fire, tanks, etc., they're all pretty indistinguishable, I've got to say, but it does do a good job of creating a sense of mayhem that must be present on a real battlefield.
Now here, we've lost visuals on Dingo. They were last seen. We spotted Dingo and my free dog here. The streets are covered in machine HQ here. Backing up a phone in a moving building. We're engaged at Echo 9. Firing upon Alligator Pass, Charlie 8. God damn it, this is like suicide.
Each of the characters' voices are pretty decent in my opinion. There's not too many different sayings available, but there are enough to make it not feel samey, let's say. And there are some nice situation-specific sayings which are included as well. The in-game music is, I would say, suitable for the period, but it's nothing overly special. If you want to leave it on, you can, but I tend to turn music off in games like this. You can move the map around, zoom it in, tilt it up and down, and change your view as you wish. This allows you pretty good control of the map, although I have noticed that when the information coming back from your units pops up on the screen, it can get in the way. I think I'd much rather see it off on one side rather than all over the place when I'm trying to do something. You cannot really change the keybinds in-game, but if you're using your voice, it's not really relevant, and there's also no controller support. The game comes with a built-in map editor. It looks like you can build pretty big maps, add lots of units and detail, but I've been completely unable to test this as it was A, buggy, and B, as far as I could see, there was no tutorial to really sort of guide me through it. Now I have encountered quite a few bugs, mostly surrounding the replay mode, which I haven't actually discussed yet. The replay mode enables you to watch back the battle that you've just completed. In the replay, you can run it at normal time, 5 times or 10 times speed, and it will allow you to see all of the units as they moved in real life. It will also allow you to see the markers that you placed to represent their location, so you can see how accurate or inaccurate you were. What that will do is help you to learn. It will show you what really happened and where you went wrong, what mistakes you've made. Now, sometimes completed objectives that I have completed within the mission, uncheck themselves and become uncompleted, so I lose some XP points as a result of that. I've also noticed, or I suspect, that units sometimes change their role. All of this should hopefully be fixed before or soon after release, but yeah, certainly in that area there seems to be 1 or 2 little bugs that need to be ironed out. Overall, I like it. I think the co-op aspect is really good, and I like the fact that you can create maps straight away. I think a lot more could be done with this game, and I don't mean that a lot more needs to be done. I just think it has a lot of potential that has been as yet unrealised. If the game is priced anywhere between £15 and £20, and I think that's a pretty fair price, if it's anything less than that, then this is an absolute steal. And if it's any more than that, then it may only appeal to those with a passion for World War II or radios, perhaps. I would say that to complete the campaign, you're going to get at least 10 hours of more of gameplay time. And that's on medium level. If you play it on easy, then medium, then hard, obviously you can triple that. If you play it all on hard, I think you're going to fail some of those missions. And if you're a completionist, if I can even say the word, then you're going to want to go back and completely take all objectives on all missions. And that is not easy, I'm telling you now. So the built-in game's voice recognition is a little bit buggy. mainly in certain areas when trying to reference Juliet, Delta and Lima. Now interestingly, although Lima is actually referred to as Lima in the game by absolutely everybody, if you refer to it as Lima, it actually picks it up. So just a few tweaks and twists need to be applied there to get that working properly. I hope it gets fixed before release, and I'm pretty sure it will be. Some commands I feel are missing from the game, just to mention two: hold fire and avoid contact. These things could be really beneficial when you're trying to be more tactical. You want to see when an enemy is coming and not necessarily engage them. You want to sort of allow them to come to you so that you can perhaps ambush them. Even an ambush option, which is kind of already built into the game, but you don't have complete control over it. I think there are some units that could also be added. A medic unit, for example, supply units, and even a supply route mechanic like I've seen in other RTS games would really expand this game even further. There is a co-op multiplayer mode which is really good. I actually really like that feature. But there isn't a PvP multiplayer option at the moment. That's something that I think would really expand the game that extra bit too. There's also no in-game VoIP. Now, that's not the end of the world because there are 100 different ways that you can communicate with each other whilst playing a game, but just to mention that it doesn't currently exist. The pens on the map are brilliant, especially in co-op. You need to be able to communicate between the two of you what you're doing and when. How the co-op system works is that your teammate will have, say, 3 units under their control, and you'll have 3 units or 2 units or whatever. And between you, you need to use the pens on the map to communicate where you're going to go, where your units are, and what your plans are. Now, the pens, personally, I think need to be thicker. They're far too thin. You can't really see what they are. I think it needs to be an adjustable thickness. Maybe you set it in the menu options, or maybe you can set it whilst you're actually doing it on the map. I don't know. I'd also like to see a yellow pen colour there whilst I'm thinking about it. But what's really cool about the co-op is that you can switch control of units as you see fit. So if you've got 3 units and I've got 1, and you're like, here, take over Charlie unit for a minute whilst I focus on attacking this objective here. And then you just click a button and the control for that unit switches over to me, and then I am able to communicate with them. You can't hear what your teammates' units are communicating to them. So it's actually pretty good. Now, I played this with Jimmy Daly. You can go watch that on either his channel or my channel. And we use Discord in order to communicate between us. But you could actually play with just the radio units and just the map communicating that way. I think that would work pretty well, actually. Custom maps and the potential for future DLC make this game, as I say, hugely scalable. There's a lot of potential for additional content in this game. You could work on the Russian front, you could include Africa, you could even include other wars into this game, I guess. And obviously, you've got all the custom maps. Now, I don't know whether or not you can use the custom maps to create a custom campaign, but that would be a really nice additional feature further down the line, perhaps, if they were, looking for ideas of how to further expand the game. I think because of the linear start to each of the missions, it does lose a bit of replayability. But as I mentioned before, once the mission has started, pretty much anything can happen. And as you complete each mission, you will also unlock free play mode. And this means you can take any unit you want and just really mix it up and just be totally free to play it how you want to. There's no in-game purchasing, and at this point in time, there's no DLC that's been announced. But there is potential for loads, in my humble opinion. This is a really great game, and one of the things I haven't mentioned that I really should is how authentic it is to the historical accuracy aspect of things. These are real missions completed at real times with real objectives, and I think balanced AI opponents as well. I haven't played on the hardest setting. It is possible that you will face more AI enemies in the hardest setting. I don't know that for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. There's a lot of historical footage, snippets from papers, photographs of soldiers, and real official videos from the army themselves, like paparazzi-style army videos, etc. I just think the whole game is really good. I'm a big World War II fan. I'm not particularly interested in radios, but I kind of like maps, and I like strategy, and I like war games, and I like the complexity that this game offers. It's really good. I just wish that the voice commands didn't bug out as much as they do. It's not all the time. Juliet, Lima and Delta seem to be the only real issues, but occasionally you do try and communicate with the unit and it doesn't come back to you. Maybe that's part of war. I mean, sometimes, I haven't mentioned this either, but sometimes if one of your units gets into a fight, their radio can be damaged, then you have to send somebody to go and connect with them so that they can get a new radio before you can communicate with them as well. It's a really good game. There's a lot of stuff going on. I don't necessarily know everything about the game, but I certainly know enough to say to you that this is a really good game, and as long as they get the bugs and the issues that I've seen ironed out, then this is going to be a really great game for someone interested in RTS, World War II, or radios even. So yeah, highly recommended. I give this a massive thumbs up, and I thank you so much for watching. Please do hit the thumbs up button down there, and leave a little comment if this review has been helpful to you, because it helps me and it helps other people too. I can only keep doing this if I'm getting enough views and making enough money to cover the cost of all the equipment and the time and effort that I put in. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Till next time, take care. Goodbye for now.
48 Highlanders Infantry reporting for duty. Will be Charlie. We're at India 7. Why do we infantry always get to shoot? Second Field Squadron Engineer. Reporting in the call sign Dog. We're at Juliet 7. Need something filter blown up? Engineers got you covered. Royal Winnipeg Rifles Infantry, company here. You can call us